What's up, everyone? How's everyone doing? Welcome back to another episode of Bodacious Rant. Joined as always by Burn and Rye. I'm Burn, he's Rye. I'm
Yes,
just kidding. No, I've always.
I am Rye now.
No, you'll never be me. Never. Anyways, like I said, if you guys haven't already, feel free to check out because we're gonna talk more animation stuff today. So if you haven't already, check out our Scott Pilgrim takes off the review on about the Netflix anime series that's on YouTube right now. So I don't know where else we'd be. We need to. I don't know. It doesn't matter. We're in your voices, in your minds after you watch us. But
We'll start an OnlyFans and stream there.
I mean, no, I'm not going to toy with that idea. I can't do that. Anyways, so we're going to be talking about a show that I've been waiting for forever since I first saw it. This is one of those shows. At first, I was looking forward to it, didn't watch it, but then Byrne was like, "Dude, watch it for the first episode, and it's going to be crazy." And oh my God, was it crazy! And season 2 is off to a solid start. If you don't know what we're talking about, we are talking about Robert Kirkman's Invincible on Amazon Prime. This is going to be kind of a mid review, so there will be some minor spoilers, kind of, just because I've read all the books, so I kind of do know what's going on in the show compared to the books and stuff too. But with that being said, please do not forget to give us a like, ring the bell, not the bell, and of course subscribe. We appreciate you all, and just want to keep the ranting community growing. Let's all rant together.
Yes.
Hashtag rant on. That's our start doing that. We'll get some momentum.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so Invincible season 2 kind of takes place a little bit after the events of season 1, in which Omni-Man tried to kill Mark because he was in the way of the Viltrumite conquering the Empire. And Mark, his mom Debbie, played by Sandra Oh, Stephen Yoon come back. Everybody comes back from the last season for the most part, and we're also joined by a couple newcomers. Like the biggest standout for me was Tatiana Maslany. She actually plays a couple characters, which is fine by all means. I love her, especially after She-Hulk. I really liked her in that one. J.K. Simmons is back as Omni-Man. We got Seth Rogen as Alan the Alien, Jason Mantzoukas, Walton Goggins, so on and so forth. Everyone it's great to have everybody back because we got this show 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And
long
there have
wait.
been a lot of, but I think what took so long for Kirkman is that he's kind of doing multiple seasons, like he's writing them down, but they finished filming season 2, but because of the strikes, I think we're only getting the first half, and because they had to finish probably the last half, they're like, yeah, we'll release that later, not because we want to, but because they admitted like this is not a story direction why they split it up. They just did it because I think the studio told them to. So having said all that, that was a big moment in Mark's life, literally, because not only did he find out his dad is a conquering alien, but he almost died by his father's hands. So they've just been dealing with the aftermath of that. The Guardians of the Globe hit like a rough patch a little bit after being the new Guardians of the Globe, and a lot of good stuff. I'm really liking it so far. I will say episode 2 is definitely the weakest one, just because it kind of juggles stuff a little too much. Overall, the animation is definitely improved upon. The voice acting is on point as always. And again, we're just getting way more characters too. So for those of you who haven't read the books or anything, prepare yourselves. We're going to get a lot, definitely some bigger characters, some really cool ones, and it's going to get crazy. So that's all I can say. But Bern, how are you feeling about season 2 so far? I know you and I have talked about like episode 2 and stuff, but overall, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, overall, it's a solid start, to this second season. Really does a good job of picking up after the emotional aftermath that was the finale of late end of the first season, where now everyone's sort of picking up the pieces and figuring out how to like go on about their lives now that they've realize who Omni-Man really is, the people closest to him, and also the sort of the ancillary characters that have like are built up around him, like the Guardians of the Globe. So it's just like everyone's been affected in some sort of way after this incredibly insane reveal towards the end of, well, I guess the beginning of for the first season, but really at the end of last season, where everyone sort of figured out what really is going on. Yeah, and it's kind of fun to see sort of like the growing pains and the struggle to sort of like move on, and like people figuring out how to be superheroes in this universe. So I think that the sort of the way that it sort of digs in into like what being a superhero is, sort of deconstructing that. I think, picking up from where the first season left off, definitely did that, and it's done a good job about it. Like I mentioned to you before, and this first few episodes are a little bit of a jumbled start. Not in like the worst ways. It seems like they're introducing a lot of things that they want to pay off eventually, but that does sort of affect the pacing of a lot of the episodes. And I think, like we mentioned, episode two was a victim of that. I felt like where they're really trying to throw a lot of things at you, set things up for the future. I'm sure it's going to pay off in a satisfying way, but as it stands right now, it's a little bit sort of jumbled and all over the place. But everything else is really holding it down. Like a lot of the great character work, a lot of the great voice acting, and the animation this season has been pretty great. A little bit inconsistent at times, but overall, an improvement on the first season, which I didn't have a lot of issues with. The art style is very simple, very clean, and leads into it being easier to forgive a lot of it when it's a little bit weaker. But when it shines, it really shines. And in the action sequences, in particular, this season, insane work, really cool stuff.
Yeah, I'm kind of like the improvements on the animation are very subtle because, like you said, the last one worked for me. It was very clean, still detailed, especially when it came to the violence of it all. But this one, because of the little minor tweaks and stuff to it, there's definitely a little bit more detail, especially when it comes in the action and the other characters, namely like Alan's episode at the
Hmm.
beginning of episode three, and how whatchamacallit, how he was just kind of like going through that whole thing. That was pretty much exactly like the book. Um, I like him really like it, and we also have Peter Cullen as Thetis, which he has some interesting stuff. Not going to spoil it. I liked his voice, but at the same time, I keep just hearing him as Optimus Prime. It's hard to hear him as another character, like because it's borderline distracting. But hopefully, if Kirkman kind of keeps sticking to his source material, I think it'll pay off a lot better because he has some cool moments in it. Um, Other than that, I'm digging it so far. It has kind of improved some things like Debbie in the books. She has a way worse downward spiral. Almost not pathetic, but just like she definitely is. She was in a way darker place. Where this show, definitely a dark place still because she's considered to blame for Omni-Man and stuff like that when it's like it's not true, But being married to someone like that for all those years and finding that out, you do blame yourself. It's totally understandable. Um, so I like that aspect of it. The pacing, I feel like in episode one, and then three and four, I think are the best so far. Those definitely felt like good episodes. Actually, the third one was pretty funny, just the whole narrator kicking in with Alan's story and stuff like that. I was like, okay, that's actually pretty good. I enjoyed that because it kind of was like that in the book too. So, um, overall, like I said, I can't wait to see what the rest of the season holds. I'm very excited for that. Was there any episodes or any standout moments like that you really liked, Burn, or anything you want to ask me on in the Invincible verse?
I mean, just like sort of like a general question where, we when we both watched the first season, you hadn't read any of the comic books, and now you've finished the entire series. So now you sort of like have a perspective on like sort of like the storytelling and how they're remixing a lot of the things. At least that was my understanding of people's reaction to the first season, that it's not like a one-to-one adaptation, where it seems like now, like we talked about before, Robert Kirkman is sort of remixing things, moving things around, and sort of streamlining the series. Do you feel like in this first four episodes, not, I mean, not spoiling anything that hasn't come yet, but what it's covered so far, do you think it's sort of in that same vein where it's sort of like reworking things that to fit a little bit better?
So far, yes. The only parts that were definitely cut through a little bit, or it was definitely was jumbled, is just like, again, just Debbie kind of dealing with everything, because that was definitely drawn out in the books more,
Mm,
where she she kind of becomes an alcoholic, and she not dates around, but she does end up dating this guy. Where conversely in the show, the when she goes to that superhero like spousal or like partner like
Like support
meeting,
group,
essentially
yeah.
a support group, yeah, support group's way better. Yeah, that support group, when that dude told her like it's best you don't come back because you're not gonna like what happens, it's like, whoa, very messed, very dark, but at the same time that would probably be more along the lines of what would happen today. Where in the books, when she talks to, she does meet like other, like another spouse of a superhero and stuff, kind of like a therapist, in a way, or just more of like a friend to talk to about.
Hmm.
Definitely way more supportive, and it's like, okay, that's good. But this show, she's just kind of dealing with it, trying to adjust to life. So I'm kind of glad in episode 4 when she tells Cecil like, I don't want his money, I just want to be my own person again. Like I want to feel like I can live. And she's already a way more accomplished character, because in the book she didn't have a job. She was just a stay-at-home mom. Like she wasn't a real estate agent or anything. So at least in the last season she was a more stable like figure, more independent. And this time, like I said, I'm digging her character so far in this one. And Steven Yeun, man, he's the voice acting with him is amazing.
Hmm.
He sells Mark's lines so well. Like reading the books after watching the first season, that's all I could imagine it, and it was great. Um, the only other thing I will say is that Tatiana Maslany as both Aquarius's wife, I forgot her name, and then also Alan's girlfriend. Very spot on, very good voice acting on her part. Her character is actually a lot better so far too, because
Oh,
in
interesting.
like in episode 3, yeah, when we meet her, she's actually part of the government. Like in the last one, she was just kind of like, that was the thing with Kirkman's writing in the books, is that some of these side characters, mostly the women, not really developed characters. They were just there, and they kind of
Mm.
came off as like either arrogant or just dumb. And that was kind of like her character. Let me look it up real quick. I'm sorry. Hold on here.
Yeah, but I mean that's been one of the things that I've seen reactions from people who have read the comic books where they're saying that a lot of the characters, namely his mom Debbie and his girlfriend Amber, that their characters in
Hmm.
the show are a lot more fleshed out and more developed. And I will say that that is a good sign. That we're going to see a little bit more from these characters, because I'm glad we didn't just sort of like brush past them. It seems like they've had a lot to do, especially Debbie in the first 4 episodes of the season, going through the emotional trauma that is what happened to her the last season. I like that we didn't just brush past it; that we gave her time to sort of go through the emotions and kind of find her way out of that dark spot that she's got in. So I did really enjoy that part of her storyline in these initial episodes. And Amber seems like a better written character this time around too. I know a lot of people had issues, myself included, with her characterization last season, where it felt really like awkward, very very awkward choices made with her character. But here she seems like a little bit more of a normal person. Very very weird decisions in the first season, but here overall, like she seems, it seems like they took that criticism to heart and did a little bit more to make her not just like an unbearable person to be around.
Yeah, like again, he definitely made her. He's kind of done that a lot more with women, because again, the times have changed. Like we talked about in Scott Pilgrim, specifically another, because of how Scott Pilgrim had the original writer come in to adapt the show. That's what I love about these new animated series. That if you have the original writers involved, there's plenty of room to really improve upon everything, because they're like, yeah, times have changed. I was younger, didn't really, but now getting more experience and stuff, I can definitely change these characters for the better. So Amber, while she was very annoying season 1, she's actually an improved character where she's more independent. She's very social conscious and all that kind of stuff. Um, but the annoying part was last season where she's like, "Yeah, I already knew you were a superhero, but why didn't you just tell me?" It's like,
Mhm. Our
well, why didn't you
relationship,
say
yeah,
anything?
our
Like,
relationship
yeah, like
matters more
so
than you saving lives.
yeah, it's just more petty about it. But this time she's definitely a little bit more accurate to the character, where she's very supportive of Mark. And she's cool, but it's her character's gonna have it's there's gonna be some stuff with her that'll not super crazy, but it makes sense what happens. I like what they did with Adam Eve. I think Jillian
Hmm.
Jacobs keeps excelling in voice acting, and definitely a not so positive light with her, because in the books she has a whole like African, like she lives in Africa where she really helps villages and stuff like that for the better, and it's way more positive. Where in the show, I like that it's kind of showing the effects of like, you think you know more than we do, but you really don't. You don't understand everything. You think because her power, she's basically a god where she could literally change
Yeah.
atoms and reconfigure how she wants. And she doesn't get the gravity of that. But I'm glad this season she really did. And I can't wait to see how much more he's gonna make her grow, because she's a very important character in these books. She's not just a love interest. So keep that in mind.
Yeah, I'm really
Um
liking how these first few episodes are treating Mark and um uh, Adam Eve, like how they have to sort of like them coming to terms of how what type of superhero they want to be. You know how like they want to make the easy choices, and that's not always the right choices, and sometimes they think they're making the right choices and they make things worse, unfortunately. So I like how it gives complexity to what being a superhero. It's not easy as just saving a cat from a tree. There's so many things that they have to consider, and they're young, obviously, so they're going to grow into it. But I like that we're seeing this growth, and it's not just one of those things where we just kind of jump past that. We get to see them go through the motions, learn from their mistakes, and they make a lot of mistakes. So it's good to see them like struggle with what being a superhero is, and it's going to make it when eventually where their storylines sort of conclude. It'll make it a more emotional, satisfying conclusion that it was a struggle to get there.
No, yeah, absolutely. And that reading the books and stuff like that, there were four compendiums, so they're basically like four Bibles. Um it's definitely more of a roller coaster with what they go through. So I'm sure there's going to be fans of people like, this makes no sense. Why are they good this moment? Then this happens, all this. It's like, because it's not, like you said, it's not that clear cut, and Kirkman understood that from the very beginning, and he continues to do that with the show where, yeah, they're going to have plenty of ups, but they're also going to have a lot of downs. It's not as clear cut as you would think. So um it's definitely be all over the place and for the couple seasons, unless he knows a better way to write it where it makes it a little more consistent. But as of now, I'm digging it. And back to Tatiana Maslany when she plays Aquaria and Telia. Aquaria was definitely more of a 2D character, like just two-dimensional character or one-dimensional character in the books, where yeah, Mark was supposed to marry her out of tradition and be the king and stuff. We didn't want any part of that.
Mm.
But I like that this show, she was definitely more independent in the sense of like, yeah, no, I can run this by myself. Aquarius never really did anything. I got this. You're here just to pay your debt. I like that aspect of the episode. And then Alan's girlfriend Telia, they actually, it was way more, it was kind of actually dumb in the books, because Alan being an experiment, he's like, I shouldn't be procreating with you, you're not Unopin, we got to keep the society going. And she's like, no, you're gonna hook up with me because I want to, and it's a stupid tradition. She
Mm.
came off as a very more disrespectful and arrogant character, like it's all about her, very non-aware of her surroundings and stuff like that. But this time I like that they're in a good relationship, they're happy and stuff like that. So, and she's actually a government employee. She's not just this girl that lives there where, at that station there. I forgot what that place is called.
Hmm.
But so again, good improvements overall from Kirkman. And again, the way the last season, the way this mid season ended with, that was straight out of the books for the most part. And
Okay.
I was like, yes, I am so excited, because not only do we get Angstrom Levy played by Sterling K. Brown in the first episode, big villain for Invincible, gonna lead to a lot. I think his story not will conclude, but will reach the high point of his character in this season. And then now the Viltrumites are coming into play. A lot of crazy stuff is going to happen. So I'm excited for it. I don't know how you felt about the way this half of the season ended so far.
I mean, they set it up really well. Like, getting to meet Nolan again, seeing what his character journey was like since the end of the last season, everything that he's kind of go through. I like how this like alien bug planet that they're on is sort of like a condensed version of sort of like his character as a whole, where he's literally amongst bugs. Like how he sort of viewed humans, and how like their lifespan is what, over like the course of a day or something, or like a month. I forgot what it
So
was, but it was very quick.
Yeah, so again, just like the books, the Thraxans are a very accelerated society. Like they have to
Hmm.
invent things, they have to build things super quick because they can only live like maybe a human's year. Like 365 days essentially is their whole lifespan.
Yeah.
So Mark's little half brother, he's gonna get big real quick, and it's pretty his character again. That's gonna be a big thing. So he's not just gonna be a one off or some side character. He's a big character too.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited by it, and I'm glad they did that too.
Yeah, and I like just what that does thematically, like just how like, he's amongst he's amongst life where life is a little bit more precious and it's very more it goes and comes real quick, so it's you have to appreciate it when it's there. So again, it's just sort of like how he sort of viewed humans, but just in a little bit more of an extreme environment where like he has to really come to terms with his self and like what his conflicting emotions feel like, because we do see like he does have emotions for Debbie and for the relationships that he established on Earth, and now he really has to fight that aspect. The two different versions of himself. Where we see it in the end of this, sort of close to the end of this episode, where he's like struggling with like why do I care so much about these people? Like their life is so frivolous, and it's over and done with before you can even blink. Why should I care? And it's like, yeah, that's the emotional growth that he has to go through. So everything they set up with Nolan, really good, and like how Mark is there to sort of see that part of his dad that he. At the end of the last season, doesn't know that it's there. Like the last thing is always him pummeling to him to death, basically. So I do like everything that they've done with Nolan, and the setup for the Viltrumite stuff to come is really interesting. I'm very much looking forward to see how that sort of plays out. What I'm not looking forward to as much though is the stuff with the Guardians of the Globe. I thought that storyline so far is probably the weakest for me, just because a lot of it seems like a lot of really like high school relationship drama. A lot of that going on with, in particular, with Rex and the duplicate girl and stuff, and with their new teacher, the Immortal, is that his name?
Yeah, again, just like the book, Immortal did come back and take over because yeah, they just can't hack it. And Immortal, because he was the original leader, he knows what to do, and he's been alive for thousands of years. So, um, I will say conversely, I don't. I actually like the growth that, like the dialogue that Rex and Duplicate have had because
I
while
did
she
like
did
that.
hook up with them, while she did hook up with Immortal, like she's just the one who constantly is the cause for cheating in a way. Not really, because her and him and her weren't really together. She even said like we weren't dating. We just hooked up. Like that's all it was. And he's like, well, I'm trying not like he's just being the dipshit that he is and not trying to be that. But it's like, well, dude, you still messed up. And but her character's actually improved a lot too. Because again, and also in the books, she's very like Telia, very just unaware and insensitive to a lot of people's like emotions and stuff like that. Where this one, it makes sense that that line of like he's died as many times as I have, being like replicating herself, like that speaks volumes to me. We can relate in that way, and it's like, damn, that's a good point. I don't remember if that was in the book because again, so just spoiler alert for all of you, we're essentially still in like the first compendium, like the first like 40 issues so far, and we're only like a season and a half in, so we're definitely not even done yet. It's getting into a lot of stuff. But yeah, no, I totally get you though. The Guardians of the Globe, they are the immature aspect right now,
Hmm.
but you know, Bulletproof, Immortal, and Robot. Those are the three characters you definitely got to keep your eye on going forward
Yeah, like
for the show.
I do like the stuff that they're setting up with Robot and Monster Girl. How he's trying to figure out how to become more human, wrestling with the fact that he is a human now, and how he's feeling these complex emotions that he didn't have as a robot. So I do like that exploration on that aspect. It's just, I guess, just the group as a whole. It's a lot of tell don't show so far, where we only get the one scene of them struggling how to work as a unit. Really, all we've been getting is sort of like the aftermath of like their failed missions or their missions that didn't go quite as well, and then we just kind of get into just like a little bit relationship drama where I want to see more of them, struggling to work together. Like I want to see it. I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to see the them being like petty in their relationships. I want to see them struggling with what Mark and Adam Eve are struggling with, what it means to be a superhero, how it's harder than they expected, and how they have to grow together to work through it. I'm assuming they're going to get to that point eventually. It's just right now it's not quite there yet for me, but I'm sure it'll get there.
Absolutely. No, you're not wrong. They definitely, I will say the Guardians of the Globe aren't in the books and stuff, not to go too crazy into it. They definitely play more of a part in the books, but they're not like, you don't see him as much, given because it is Invincible. So it definitely focuses more on him and the main characters around him, like, his brother, Omni-Man, Adam Eve, um, Robot, and stuff like that. So that's what I'm saying. Like, Robot Immortal has an interesting character arc, like foreshadows him a little bit what he could do. Robot's definitely going to be a way bigger character, and Bulletproof, he's just interesting one. We haven't really seen much of him so far in this part of the season. I kind of hope we dive more into him a little bit because he's again really interesting character. Um, Overall, I'm not going to give a ranting rating quite yet because again, we're halfway through the season. We can only judge it so much. But overall, I'm digging it. I definitely recommend everyone to watch it. And just to keep, if you do want to read the books like I did, go for it. Yes, there are going to be spoilers. Like, I already know what happens with Invincible. I hope we kind of see that trajectory. We kind of are already, but Kirkman can definitely change stuff for better or worse. So we'll have to see what happens. But how do you feel about this season overall, Berm,
Yeah,
so
I
far?
mean, like really solid so far. All the things I mentioned, the voice acting fantastic, the animations really cool, and the storylines that they're setting up, if a little bit jumbled, are still very intriguing, especially with the end of episode 4. I can't wait to see what happens next. So this little bit of wait is a little bit frustrating because I want to know what happens next already. So yeah, really cool stuff, and it's again just one of those things that. Amazon is killing it right now with these superhero stories that are more deconstructions on the superhero genre as a whole. So if I were to give it like any sort of rating right now, it would be like a 3. But again, it's like you mentioned, it's just hard to give it a rating right now because we are not done with the story yet. So very much interested in what's going to go on here. Very much looking forward to what happens. The second half of the season can't come soon enough. I hope the wait is not too long.
I mean, I know right now originally I heard it was not supposed to come out till around June,
Hmm.
but they keep hinting early 2024, and I'm like, June's definitely not early. That's still like
That's a
midway.
midpoint.
But so who knows? Maybe with both actors and writer strike being done, maybe they can fast forward and just drop it ASAP, because they kind of need to. Like, and I know Kirkman said, like, guys, you'll never wait that long again. Like, even he's like, I'm sorry, but not
Hmm.
saying he apologized, but he's like, it won't be that long again. You're not going to wait 2 years for it. We're trying to do a season a year. I'm like, okay, great. If you can get that done, awesome. But shit happens too, so we'll have to see.
Yeah,
But
because the rollout for this, a whole season and a half is it's been very long. They definitely can't keep that up if they want to keep people interested.
Absolutely. For those of you who've read the books or watching the show so far, how are you feeling about this season? How are you feeling about the show overall? Did you want it to stay more faithful to the books, or do you want it to completely go in a new direction? We love to know in the comments section, so keep that going. But until next time, everyone, stay bodacious and keep on ranting for us.
Absolutely, everybody. Be good, be safe, and as always, we'll catch y'all on the next one.